Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. We are going to talk about how to make grass and hay in Farming Simulator 25. This is going to be for all platforms, and this is going to be the base game with no mods or anything like that. So just be aware of that. I also do tend to talk a little fast, so if you need to slow me down, you can use the YouTube controls down below to slow down the video. And there are also time codes down below to talk about the different categories that we're going to cover in this video. So if you're looking for something specific, you can skip ahead. That way you don't have to watch the entire video to try to get what you're after. Also, make sure you check the first pinned comment down below to see if there is one and see what has changed, or if there's anything I missed, I will put it down there. Or if anyone gave me any helpful tips, I'll put them in there. So just be aware of that. What we're going to cover in this video is going to be the field prep, planting grass, caring for grass, mowing grass, grass work, and then what to do with grass and hay. And when I say grass, I'll talk about the distinguish between grass and hay real quick. So hay is basically dried grass. It's both the same crop. You're going to grow grass, and then there's something you do towards the end that we'll talk about during the grass work section that is going to be how to make it hay. So if you already know how to do everything with grass and you just want to know how to make hay, go to the grass work section and watch that. But anyhow, let's go and talk about field prep. So this little field right here is already prepped. It's already cultivated, plowed, whatever the case may be. What we have to do basically if we have just a regular old field is we have to, well, let's go to the store here. We have to do something with soil cultivation on it. So you either need to use a plow, cultivator, disc harrow, power harrow, subsoiler, or spader. If you want to know the difference between all of these, I'll put a card up on your screen right now. Go check that out. That will explain all of these in greater detail. Now, if it does say that plowing is required, we can go into our game settings here. You can see plowing, periodic plowing required on. So if we want to see if plowing is required, we go into here, go over to soil composition, and then do needs plowing, which should give it a red kind of a red cover like that, so you'll see that. But we don't have that on our field. If you're playing with needs plowing or plowing, periodic plowing required, make sure that that's not required. If it is required, you need to use a spader, a subsoiler, or a plow to get rid of that requirement. Just be aware of that. Now, next thing we want to talk about is needs lime. If it has this bluish green tint on it, which our field does not, you need to put lime down. You can also turn this off as well. In the settings here, you can turn lime required to off. I have it set to on, so you just need to apply lime and then you'll be good to go. You can apply lime using a lime spreader, which is going to be found under yield improvements, under fertilizer spreader. This is the only lime spreader in base game, so you use that to put lime down on your field, and then you're good to go. Last thing we talk about is fieldstone. If there's any fieldstone on here, you probably want to pick those up and get rid of those. You can use the stone picker or some other things to get those out of the way. Again, I'll talk about that in my soil cultivation or field prep video as well, how to get rid of those stones. So one thing as well I want to note, fieldstones aren't going to affect the yield of your crop, and you can turn them off as well. You can turn fieldstones off in here, which I have them turned off. If you have them turned on, if you go up here, you will see a fieldstone option on here to see if there's any stones on your field. So you can check that on there, but we're just going to leave them as off for now. So leave the fieldstone off for now there. So you can adjust all those settings in there if you want to, and then you're good to go. And also another good thing too with grass, since grass regrows, you only have to do the field prep state of this once. You only have to do that step once. So once you prep the field, you're good to go. Grass will continue to regrow in the field that you have on it. Unless you want to plant something else, then you need to do something else with the field. But in general, it will just be on the field. So you're good to go. If you want to get rid of the grass and grow something else, do this field prep state again, or this field prep step again. You just plow over it or cultivate over it, then you can plant something else on it. So not too bad. Now you can also skip this step as long as plowing is not required, and you can use a direct drill seeder over top of it. So you can use a regular seeder to do it. But we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to planting and seeding, which now let's talk about planting and seeding. Grass is planted with a regular planter, or regular seeder, I should say. If we go in here under seeders, any one of these, you can see the little icon for grass down here. Any one of these will plant it on the ground for you. Now, some of these will add a state of fertilizer at the same time. For example, this guy right here will also put down fertilizer. So if you wanted to get a fertilizer state while you were planting, that's an easy way to do it. The other thing too is some of these are direct drills, like this one. It says additionally, this seeder offers the possibility to seed directly. No previous cultivator or plow required. That's down here at the bottom. So if it has that, that means it's a direct drill seeder, and you don't have to plow, cultivate, or do any of that sort of stuff on the field. However, you still have to plow the field or subsoil it or spade it if it has that plowing state required. So if it still requires plowing, this red state is still over top of it, you still have to do that. The direct drill is not going to take care of that. But it does allow you to bypass it if that's not needed. So that's an easy step there. And what we're going to do is we're going to hop over to, oh goodness, this guy right here. I have a nice little seeder that also fertilizes here. Oops, turned my engine off. And we're going to load this guy up with some seeds and fertilizer and plant our field with some grass. So I have some fertilizer and seed here, which you can buy in the store. Seed is found under here. This is the cheapest way to buy it because you get a little bit more for the same price. Fertilizer, you come under here, you can buy solid fertilizer here or here for your seeder. And then all I need to do is just pull up. I'm just going to go in between these two guys here. And then if I hit R, it's loading up the solid fertilizer right now, which is great. And then if I hit R again, it'll load up our seed. Now it does say wheat down there in the bottom right-hand corner, so I'm going to hit Y to toggle through that until I get to grass. And then we're good to go. I'm going to start unfolding our seeder now as we drive up to the field, but all we have to do now is just plant this field with grass and it'll be all set and good to go. So let's get over here, get close to the field, let that finish unfolding there. It takes a little bit for this one to unfold. Then I can hit V to lower it down and B to turn it on. And as I start driving over it, you can see we are planting behind us grass, which is fantastic. So now if I go into the menu here and turn on the fertilizer state, you can see we have one fertilizer state on. This is what 2 looks like, this dark blue. And this light blue is one fertilizer state, like this field over here. So that's getting taken care of. And if we go to, oops, let's go over to growth here. You can see, oops, it's glitched out. Hold on, there it goes. You can see that it is in its growing state right there, and which is great. So that's fantastic. I'm going to keep planting all this, and then I'll bring you guys back in so we can talk about grass care. All right, and we are finishing up our planting right there. So that is all set. I'm just going to get this out of the way. We can fold that up and turn that guy off, which is great. So now we need to talk about caring for the grass. So this, now that we put down one fertilizer state, we can put down another one here with a fertilizer spreader in the next month, but we don't need to actually if we don't want to. Grass only uses one fertilizer state per harvest, so this would actually be fine. We're going to throw another level down just to be safe and just to make sure we don't have to deal with it later. I always try to recommend getting this all the way completely fertilized up as much as possible. It does say 50% down there, but if you put 2 fertilizer states on it, you'll notice it only drops 1 every time you harvest, so that's kind of nice. Once you get it 2 fertilizer states the first time around, you can just add 1 every time and you'll be totally fine. So that's one thing there. Now we also won't have to deal with weeds. Weeds aren't going to grow in the grass, so we don't have to deal with weeds. And we'll confirm that. It doesn't say any weeds growing down there. We have weeds turned on. We can see weeds over in this field. If we go over here, weeds, there's large weeds in that field. So you can see with this one, normally it'd say weeds growing down there, but there's not that down there. So we don't have to worry about dealing with weeds on this field. It's not going to grow any weeds in the grass. So that's always a nice benefit there. Now I'll also say too, you can add a fertilizer state using a grass roller as well. This is going to be found, let's go down here, grassland care. This is the only one we have in the game right now. You can also seed grass with this if you'd like to, but if you just don't get the seeder unit, that's the seeder unit. Don't get the seeder unit or don't put any seed in it, as you go over the grass, this just kind of serves as a grassland roller. It's different than a regular roller, and what it does is it adds a fertilizer state. So after we harvest this grass, and we get all the grass off the field, I'll show you what the roller will do. We'll just grab the roller, bring it out here, and we'll go over it, and I'll show you that that adds a fertilizer state to it, which is pretty straightforward. And now what we're going to do is we are just going to fast forward 1 month here so we can add some more fertilizer to the field. If I walk over to our house here, now we're going to use solid fertilizer. You can use any type of fertilizer. Again, I have videos on all of these different aspects of the game out on my channel. So if you're looking for more detail about fertilizing, you can go ahead and check it out on my channel, a different video. I'm just going to fast forward us until tomorrow, and then I'll bring you guys back in when it's time to fertilize. All right, it is time to fertilize our grass field. You can see it's already grown up quite nicely here. We can see it's already a dark green, almost ready to harvest. We are going to go over it with some fertilizer here. And if we go into this, you can see we're adding a second layer of fertilizer, which is great. So I will finish adding this fertilizer, and then all we have to do is wait until harvest time. And again, we don't have to replant the grass ever or do the field prep again. We just have to harvest it, add some fertilizer, harvest it, add some fertilizer, or roll it with a grassland roller, and then harvest it and keep rocking and rolling. And you can get up to 3 harvests a year with it, which is absolutely awesome. Now, one thing as well I forgot to mention during the planting section of this that I probably should is seasonal growth. So here we can plant and harvest things whenever we want, but if I go into game settings and I turn seasonal growth, don't turn it to pause, nothing will grow. If I turn it to yes and go up here, if we go down here to the bottom to grass, you can see we can plant grass March through November. So we can't plant it in the winter. However, we can harvest it in the winter if you want to. So you can harvest it any time of the year, which is just mowing, which makes sense. You could mow grass at any time of the year. So you won't be able to plant grass outside of this window if you have seasons turned on. Just be aware of that. But yeah, now it's all set and good to go. I'm going to bring you guys back in when it is time to harvest. All right, I fast forwarded 1 more day, which means this is technically speaking ready to harvest. It shows ready to harvest here. So we planted it, and then the next day it was almost ready to harvest, and now it is ready to harvest. You can harvest this. However, you will not get as much of a yield as you would like to. So you can see this is what it looks like. It's kind of hard to tell. You want to see that this is what it looks like right here, right now. Take a look at that. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. It is ready to harvest, but what we're going to do is we're going to fast forward another day to get it to its second level of ready to harvest, because we get a higher yield if we fast forward 1 more day. All right, we've gone through one more day, and you can see there's already a big difference here. It looks way thicker, it looks taller. This is when we actually want to harvest it, and it still is the same state. So a little bit frustrating, but you want to wait that extra day to make sure it's ready to harvest, and that's all you really have to do. And then, yeah, it's just 3 months to get it ready to harvest. So now, harvesting grass is kind of an interesting term, obviously, because we are going to actually, technically speaking, mow it. So we're going to use any sort of mower to mow this. You can either use these mowers in here, you can use this one, which is what we're going to use, or you can use any one of these to mow it with a tractor or something like that. All of these will work. These just hook up to tractors and you're good to go. For these ones like this one, you can put this in the front and then this you have on the rear, so it gets the whole area. This just by itself is gonna miss the section in the middle. Same with this. Those are butterfly mowers. They're designed to go with something on the front. These two also go well together. This one's just a pull behind one, and this one also is just fine on its own. It'll mow the whole thing behind it. So if that's what you're looking for, you can do that. And some of these will windrow, I believe. Yep, this one will windrow. You can tell because it has these kind of belts on the back. This one will windrow, and you can turn that off as well, and I'll explain what the windrowing is. And then this one does not windrow. This one I don't believe windrows either. I think it's just this one that windrows, and then this guy will windrow as well. So let's hop in our mower. Now that's one way you can do it. You can use a mower. There is another way to do it as well. You can also use, if we go down, or up actually, sorry. Let's go up here to a forage harvester. You can use any one of these forage harvesters with a mowing header. So like this guy right here will mow grass. It'll also mow crops down, but we just want to use it for grass. This one will also mow grass there. These are pickup headers, so they will pick up stuff off of the ground if you need to, but usually you don't really need to pick up things off the ground. But yes, you'll use that to mow as well. You also can use the swather in the Macdon pack with this mower attachment to mow the grass, so just be aware of that. A few different options there. Now on the left-hand side there, it says toggle work mode, left or control Y. Right now it's in wide spreading mode, which if I lower it down, give it a second. Theoretically to lower, there it goes. Took it a second there. If we start going over it, it's just going to spread the grass out. You can see all over the field as we are mowing it. Now, if I change that to swath dropping, now as I go, it's going to swath it. So this is what a swath is right here. It's putting it all into a row for us. Now, I'll explain why you may want to do one or the other here in a second. Now, this one I believe also has a couple other modes. I believe if we go, yeah, we have a left swath on this one as well, which I don't know. Only Lord knows why you'd want to use the left swath. But if I use left swath and I go across this, it puts it all over there like that. Which I don't know, that seems more like a right swath to me, but I guess the left or the right swath is now going to be the left swath. So there you go. That seems backwards to me, but maybe that's what you call it. But anyhow, and then you can go back to wide spreading if you'd like to. Now there are different reasons why you'd want to do that. If you are going to some mowers will just wide spread it anyways, and you don't have a choice. The ones that don't have the windrowing attachment are just going to wide spread it anyway. So you don't have a choice there. But some of the times if you're making hay, you're going to use a tedder to go over this, and you would want it more widespread. Now you can do all of the steps if it's windrowed as well, but the tedder does kind of make it a little bit more difficult to make hay if it's in windrow. So just be aware of that. But what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to mow this because this is all it really is, and then we're going to talk about how to get this grass off the ground and what we can do with it now that we have it on the ground. And that's going to be part of the grassland care section of this video. So I'll get you guys there in a second. All right, we have finished mowing. Now we can talk about what to do with grassland care. Now there's a couple different things to talk about here. Go down here to grassland. We've already talked about mowers. So now we have tedders, windrowers, forage wagons, and then we also have balers that we're going to talk about down here. So this step, if you are going to make hay, the next thing you need to do is take a tedder, which I have one somewhere, I swear. We're going to take a tedder and go over it. What the tedder does is it basically causes the grass to dry out and become hay. And it also spreads things back out. So that's why it's usually best just to do wide spreading, because you're probably going to have to windrow it again anyways, which I'll talk about windrowers here in a second. So if I lower this and turn it on, we'll just make a little row of hay here, make maybe half of this hay. You can see it's going to have that nice little animation, and you have now hay out the back instead of grass. And that's how you do it. You just go across it with this, and it makes hay for you, which is pretty straightforward. So nothing too crazy about it. That's how you make hay. That's the one step that you want to do if you want to make hay. If you are making silage or you're making grass, you just want grass, you don't want to do that step. And again, in this video, I'm not going to cover how to make silage from this. That's in a whole separate video because there's a lot to that. I'll put a card up on your screen right now if you want to figure out how to make silage. But in the meantime, we're just going to talk about kind of some of the basic grassland care stuff here and dealing with this. So now, regardless of whether we want to bale this as grass, as silage, or as hay, next thing we want to do is we want to windrow it. So I do have a nice windrower right here. we take a look here in the store, by the way, your tedders are under here. So you have all your different tedding options. And then windrowers right here. You want to look at the working width down here. That's how wide it is going to be down there. Now, some of these work a little bit differently and stuff like that. The Merge Pro here is pretty unique in a lot of ways. It'll shoot grass all the way to the left or the right. And so essentially the windrows are going to be double that width there. You just have to go over it a little bit more. So, and this one we're going to use is 14 meters. So yeah, it's pretty good. But basically what a windrow does is it takes your grass and it puts it into a nice neat row for you to easily bale or pick it up or whatever the case may be. So if I go over it, you're going to see it's kicking it all together to make a nice, beautiful row for me, which is absolutely fantastic. So that is what your windrower is going to do. And you can go over other windrows or do whatever you want to do. This also works with straw. If you have straw spread out or anything like that, this will work really well for that. I'm going to do it for our hay over here. And this is why after you do your hay, you'll probably have to windrow again to make it easy to bale. Now, you're not required to do this. You could bale this without doing that, but you'd have to go over this field a lot more than if you were to have windrowed it. So you'll almost certainly want to windrow it. And I'll show you why when we go actually talking about baling here in a second. But there we go. That is how the windrower works. So that is kind of the grassland care. Now let's talk about the aspects of picking up the grass and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get some... Oh, geez, I'm stuck there. I'm going to get some better grassland stuff out here for us to talk about baling and picking stuff up with a forage wagon. So we'll talk about that here in a second. All right, so the first thing we are going to try out here is a forage wagon, which just basically picks stuff up off the ground for you in the form of a swath. It can work for straw as well as hay and grass. So we have it right here. It's any one of these guys in here. You can use these to pick it up. So pretty straightforward. Once you get it, you just go up to your swath. I'm going to hit V to lower it down and hit B to turn it on. And if I drive over the swath, you can see the swath is going away. And our capacity down in the bottom right-hand corner is going up with hay because this is tedded. So now it is hay, which is great. Easy peasy. Once I get across all that, so I'm just going to pull out of the way here. And now next, the way we can pick up stuff is with a baler. So if I just hit V, lower this down, turn it on, start rocking and rolling, you can see the grass is going up down there, bottom right-hand corner. A couple things about the baler as well. One thing, upper left-hand corner, you can see change bale size. I can change that from 125 to 150. It depends on what kind of baler you have bought, and I'll show you this stuff in the store here in a second. And then we also have down at the bottom right-hand corner, round bale net. If you run out of round bale net, you'll need to buy some more. Now it's full completely. If I keep going, it's not going to unload anymore. You can turn on Z, which is automatic drop. So if I turn Z on, as soon as it's full, it's going to automatically pop the last bale out and then go back down. And then as soon as it's closed again, I can start baling again, which is great. So I should be able to get probably a whole another bale off of this. Just about had it. And again, you can just drive over the stuff that's not swathed on the ground. It's just going to be less effective for you. You can see we only have so wide of a pickup, so we're not collecting it anywhere near as fast as we were when we were going over an actual swath. And now, there we go, it's dropping another baler on the ground. So let's talk about balers in the store. There's two types of balers. Square balers and round balers. Square balers are nice because as you go, the bales will just keep coming out the back. You never have to actually stop to wait for it to unload. That's super nice. And you can see down here, this is the different range and size for them. This is little mini bales. This pops out little mini bales. So be aware of that. Mini bales, I'll talk about those more in a second. And then we have the square bales, 180 to 240 centimeters, which I think they all do that. Yep, they all do 180 to 240. If we go to round balers, these guys in here, you'll see this is 125, 125 to 150. This guy's 125 to 180. 180 is the largest, so it has different sizes in there. This one is also will wrap silage at the same time. Just be aware of that. These ones we don't need to worry about. These are more specialty kind of stuff. I'm not going to talk about those as much in this video. And this guy is actually a self-propelled baler. If you wanted to drive it around, it'll bale stuff as self-propelled, which is nice. Now, when you go to buy the bales, you want to probably do standard net or film binding. It doesn't matter, or empty. If you do empty, you're going to have to buy something to put in it. It charges you a little bit to put these in there. Just be aware of that. If you do, whatever you do choose to use, if you use bale twine, make sure you buy more bale twine in here for square bales. You can choose what brand you want, it doesn't matter. If you use round bale net, you can choose film binding if that's what you wanted to do, or whatever one you wanted to do. Just make sure you get more of it to put on there for your round bales if it runs out. This is where you're going to get it. So that's the important thing about the consumables. That's a new kind of feature for Farming Simulator 25. Now, bale transport, which we're going to talk about next, is right here. You can use bale spikes and stuff like that to move the bales around and put them on here, or you can use one of these three kind of auto stacks. This one will pick up round bales. It'll see down here round bales and holds 24 bales. This one will pick up the mini square bales, 120 centimeter square bales. This one will do 125 to 180, so all sorts of sizes of round bales. Just be aware you can only have one type of round bale on there at a time, so you can't put a 125 centimeter bale and a 180 centimeter bale on there at the same time. It won't let you. It'll say bale not supported, so just be aware of that. And this one is the small bale, so when you're baling with this guy, that guy, you will need to use this guy as the appropriate bale packer for that. This one does large square bales, and again, you can't have different sizes on there, but it says square down here, 180 to 240, so it's going to do all the bales from these bigger square bales. So there you go. But yeah, we have a couple of bales out here. Let's go ahead and grab our round bale collector just to show you how it works. And again, you can hold up to 24 bales of the same size at the same time. Boom, it just picks it up. Really easy, works on any type of bale, just like that. Perfect. All set, good to go. We got some bales on there. Now, one thing also I wanted to talk about is the grassland roller. So I showed you this in the store. It adds a fertilizer state. If we go into our menu here, you can see we do still have one fertilizer state left on there because grass only needs one. If I lower this down, and then I start driving over the just harvested grass, you can see it adds kind of a dark hint on the back. And look at that. We have a state of fertilizer. Only works if you do it right after harvest, just like this. But there you go. You can get a free layer of fertilizer on your field just by using a grassland roller. So it is a little bit harder to do in terms of labor-intensive time and stuff like that to get the grass roller across the field than like a fertilizer spreader. But it does work really well to add some fertilizer to the field. So it's perfect for that. And then you can see we are fertilized here 100%, only 50% over there. And you can see as well, the grass is still on here. It's going to regrow. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But there you go. Now, last thing I want to talk about is what do you do with the grass and stuff like that. Now, obviously, you can sell it off. You can sell it, either you can take your forage wagon, like you're selling a crop, to anywhere that's going to take hay or grass or whatever you have in there. Bring it over there and just dump it into the sell point. Bales, same thing. You just bring them over there and sell them off. And if you can look in here, you can see where stuff is sold at. So if we go in here, we could probably find hay right there, grass, both right next to each other. You just got to take it to one of these sell points here and sell it off there. That's the price per 1,000 liters. You don't get a ton of money for it. The best thing to do with it is to use it to feed your animals and stuff like that. That's usually why people get into grass work, or to make silage, because silage you can make some pretty good money doing as well. But if you also need more information on how to sell bales, I'll put a card up on your screen right now. That'll take you to a video that talks about more detail about selling bales specifically. So if you wanted to check that out, you're welcome to do that. But I think that's everything I have for you guys. That is everything with grass and hay. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing. Hopefully I didn't miss too much and I didn't mumble on about too many different things. I tried to get it all out there, but again, there's a lot of information to have in this video. So anyhow, if you guys enjoyed, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on the screen to join the Farmer Cop channel and turn on your notification bells so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.